So, who would like to tell us what happened last time in the magical world of Dark Sun?
I can do the thing.
You may.
Okay, so we started off on the 13th of Horde, and we were just outside the city of Tyr, and we took a long rest because we were sleepy. And then we headed off toward Kled, and we, on the 14th of Horde, witnessed a majestic sky flap with babies. And Faldir revealed that he would have to have his arm cut off, and this was deeply concerning to our new friend. But we basically told him, too bad, you need to chop his arm off. So he tries real hard and fails a couple times, but eventually the arm comes off and then dissolves into the sand. And we're like, yeah, that was probably like a good thing, but also a very bad thing that we just did there. And then Faldir had a trippy AF dream in which the Oba was very hostile with him. And there was all sorts of flashback shit that happened. I wrote down all of them. I'm not going to read all of them. And then Milo expressed that he was proud of Faldir, and they got a bonding point because they are best friends.
That's true. They are best friends. They may be their only friends, but...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it was the 15th of Horde, and it passed uneventfully. And then it was the 16th of Horde. And as we were traveling, I spotted a small group of humanoid figures that were gaining on us / following us. And I was like, hey guys, look at the thing. And everyone was like, where? And no one could see it. So then we were like, we should really like be stealthy and wait for them to come up. And then we were promptly the absolute worst at stealth.
We stood on top of a dune like this.
Torin laying on the front of the hill as they approached. And I distanced myself because you're bad at stealth. So then these people encircled our dunes, and they wanted Milo, and they wanted to fuck up Faldir. And so we fought them a whole bunch, and killed a whole bunch, and broke a bunch of weapons. And then we interrogated the leftover dwarf, and he told us that there's a bounty on Milo's head, and that Faldir fucked up one of their friends. We're like, oh, that's a bummer for you. He was from the Winds of Vengeance, was the name of his little groupie group thing. So then Faldir sent him with his carved cane as proof of his death, and we made sure he had enough supplies, and we were like, yep, there you go, into the desert with no weapons, have fun, bye!
Give him a weapon.
We did give him a weapon.
Well, but honestly, alone in the desert, yeah. We basically destined him to death and pretended it was
Have a nice
fine.
life.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah, and if he makes it back to the city, Nico will probably kill him anyway. But it's fine.
It's good stuff. So then we got some armor and rank and rations off the bodies and took a nap. And during said nap, Faldir had a bunch of slime spill out of his face that then took off for Kled. It was a whole trippy thing. It was very strange.
Super gross.
Yeah, it was just like a lot of trippy shits happening in Faldir's department. And so then we were like, that's probably bad. So we booked it for Kled and found the tomb all busted open and shit. And we were like, yeah, that's concerning. So we went into the city, and there was a real big slime that I wrote in my notes, attempted to attack. And I finally got to use my whip, and we beat it up, and Milo went and got the horn of Ghost Sound from Elder Wyan, and it caused a bunch of warriors to appear, which I don't think is how Ghost Sound works, but I think the Ghost Sound
Totally is.
They were ghost warriors, and they made noise. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they were summoned by the noise from the horn.
It was a very specific noise that you had to make with Go Sound.
So then I got knocked the fuck out, and then Torin killed the large slime thing. And then we were like, hey, if we stay here, we'll get some more levels and probably doom the entire city of Tyr. But that's not new for us, so more levels it is. The end.
All right. Well, does anybody like to add anything that Aaron may have missed?
Many dwarves died to bring us that information.
Well done. You know what? That was good. It deserves this.
Yeah.
And Aaron, congratulations. You get a point of inspiration. It's not going to do anything this session, but you have it. Unless you decide to just kill this city. Unless y'all fight.
Wait, I just
Yeah.
noticed this roll 20 background, and it's like giving me such joy. That's good stuff.
I aim to please.
Am I not in here?
No, you're not. You've still not
You're
joined.
not.
Super not.
Whoopsies.
Super not.
Yeah.
Good work,
Whoopsie
buddy.
doodles.
All right. So, with all that stated, who would like to tell me what day it is?
I said that already. So literally all you had to do was listen
I
to
know,
my
but I
recap.
knew they wouldn't. That's
It is the 18th day of Horde.
Lizardman.
Oh.
I agree with Ren.
it is indeed the 18th day of Horde. Good job, Ren. You're the best around.
I feel like Rennie is more appropriate because when you say Ren, it sounds like Kylo, and that's just.
Yeah.
It's almost an insult.
Just to be a member of that universe, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can't believe people were like, yeah, Lost End did okay. Let's do this. Anyway. So, you get a point of inspiration that will go away at the end of the session, so you'll probably not get to use it, but you have it, Rennie.
Cool. I get down with that.
Alright. So, if there's nothing else, we will go ahead and part that ever so thin veil of reality and enter into the world of Athos. The four of you find yourselves standing in the remnants of the battle. The slime, now just this bubbling puddle, being slowly drunk up by the sands. A hot wind rolls across the Alluvian wastes and brushes against your face. And dwarves poking their head out of tents and alike. A couple of guards, their eyes fixed on you. Specifically Milo, with the horn in his grasp. You see the dwarf who you saw speaking with Master Wyan, standing beside him, standing beside Milo, sort of looking with a mixture of emotions. Stern is his expression, but complex, perhaps, are the nuances. Footsteps from inside the central stone building. Clearly an architect. Clearly the architects were from some past age. And standing in the doorways, a hunched old dwarf with gray eyes, leaning forward on a cane, looking out at all of you. There's a long silence, and the older dwarf smiles almost warmly. The champion of Grimjaw has returned. The first. And the dwarf standing next to you, Milo, He was the one who was speaking with Elder Wine beforehand. He reaches out with a calloused hand towards you. You guys do it. The classic strength and honor.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I
Yes.
know
Sort of grasp. And he says, "It is an honor to meet you first. I am the second."
Good to meet you as well.
He nods. And he says, "May Tyr's light shine upon you."
And you.
One small little boy starts the slow clap.
And no one joins in. No one joins in. It's really
Yeah,
awkward.
and then he kind of
Like,
hangs his head
eyes
and he's
off.
going to get bullied later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people begin to clap as the dwarf that greeted you, Milo, ushers you into the sort of center building. And Rennie, being that this is a place that you've never been before, as you've entered this place, your traveling mates, Torm, referred to it as a city. But this is not a city. It is the ruins of some place. You can see broken, ancient architecture, pillars with faded reliefs upon them. You can see tents have been set up where people seem to be living in, and where sort of makeshift structures are created using the rubble and such. You can see that there's almost something almost of a mining camp feel to it, as you can see that parts of this ancient architecture are being unveiled as people are digging through it and alike. And you can see that it is an all dwarven society, almost a small tribe, that of which is working here. You can all see that the dwarf who greeted you takes his maul, and he sort of straps it back behind his back as he leads you all into this main building that is the one of all of them is the most stable and remaining. You can see that there are large cracks and such running through the walls, but the foundation looks solid. It is clearly made of a pale stone, and is of ancient architecture. What is it, Dan?
Can I run over to Strassa's unconscious corpse and put a band-aid on her?
Yes, please.
I forgot that she was
It's
unconscious.
I was kind of thinking about. I'm like, but yeah. I mean, I can just minus a bandage.
Yeah, we'll
That's
say
cool.
Strasser, you're
Alright.
up to your feet at that point.
That happens. All right.
Hooray!
As
Thank
you
you.
guys are
Yeah.
ushered into this building. Do you guys do anything while this is all happening? You guys just
Can I do like a religion? How does religion check work? Can I do it and see what people believe around here, or if I notice
Sure.
anything relevant to the storm stuff?
Yeah, you can religion check all day.
Do I notice anything?
Well, you haven't rolled anything yet, so it's tough.
Oh, did I not? Am I not connected correctly?
You might be lagging.
All right, so
Okay,
you rolled
there
19.
you go.
Your understanding is that locally, most people in this general area worship. Their focus is upon fire. It is the most popular in tier. Further to the north, as well, as far as your understanding goes, of the sort of religious trends and such, is Uruk, You guys are probably a fourth the way to Uruk from Tyr. And your understanding is that in Uruk is the Great Smoking Crown, which is sort of a site of almost primordial fire, is the understanding. And so fire tends to be the sort of primary worship here. Although your understanding as well is that in the plains themselves, in the alluvian wastes and such, there are those who worship wind, particularly elves and alike.
So is the Storm Herald thing like it's specific to like fire, sea, and earth, right?
Sure.
So like, how does wind factor into that? Would it in any way? We don't know.
You do not know.
I mean, the ocean's
I
fucking
know.
windy, bro. I'm just
You don't know.
okay.
Yeah, the sea might be tricky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But with the wind, it's like it seems like a wind monk is like, very mobile. I don't know if there's any cross. I'm gonna stop.
All right.
I'm getting like zero feedback, just head nods. Yeah.
I will tell you nothing.
All right.
Unless you roll.
Unless you roll.
Is there
Well,
anything?
take
Is there anything like ornate around that like is obvious to me that they worship fire? Is that how I notice it from the religion check?
No. It's just what you know locally.
I just know shit. Okay. Sweet.
That's your understanding of the local area. And so,
Cool.
you guys are ushered in to this ever so charming place. Let's see here. You guys are brought into, there's sort of a central sort of foyer that you're brought into, and moving past it a short ways down, you're able to enter into what amounts to a very sort of peaceful area. It's a dark room. There's rugs of some fashion upon the floors, and small pillows for you to sit upon, sort of made out into a circle. The room is fairly dark, as there's not a lot of light other than a couple of lanterns that create a sort of dull, warm glow. Very soft. And Master Wine sort of goes over towards a pillow, and he has a seat, while the dwarf that you fought alongside remains standing, and sort of crosses his arms and just sort of looks out at all of you. The dwarf is wearing some significant chainmail. You can see it's made of a hodgepodge of pieces of ceramic and some sort of chitin from some animal or something. But it looks of certainly of stern construction.
And who's wearing that?
The dwarf, the sort of warrior that fought with you guys, the one who greeted Milo.
Okay. And what's his name? I just want to make a note.
You don't know.
Oh shit! All right, dog.
We're
I
playing a
got you.
role-playing game.
Okay. We're about to find out, I guess.
Wayne, it's good to see you again. So, unfortunate circumstances. This is, by the way, Torin. Temporary traveling companion, I believe. By the way, you fought well, I say to the second. My name's Milo.
He says, I know your name. Mine is Jadier. Lion looks out at all of you, and he smiles softly, and he says, it is always good to see you. You came in a dark hour, in an hour of need, and you blew the horn, and perhaps saved the city. I would expect nothing less from Grimjoss first.
Thank you. Other Wine, though. Everyone couldn't have done it alone. We are here to seek shelter for a time and regain our footing, perhaps. We're working in the city of Tyr to right some wrongs and to overthrow a tyrant. But circumstances have forced us to leave, so if you'll have us, we'd love to stay for a time.
He nods. And he says, you seek shelter. You shall have it. And he turns towards Storm, and he says, and it is a pleasure to meet you, for you were the one who struck the final blow against the great monstrosity.
Da.
He nods, and he looks out towards the rest of you, and he says, Milo, we understand that your travels may take you far. He says, we will help you however we can.
Thank you, Other Wine.
And it is always a pleasure to see the two of you. Valdir, Strasser.
You muted, Faldir.
No, I think I'm just really quiet. Am I muted? Can anyone hear me?
I hear you now. I didn't hear you before. You
No, my
said
headset was just far away from my face, because this mic sucks.
That's right.
Anyway.
You gotta get one of these bad boys right here, dude.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. I just have a snowball.
Anyway, and I basically said the same thing to him.
All right. Well, you just go ahead and feel good about that.
Yep. So
Yeah.
good. It's great. I feel fantastic.
And I'm not even using it, Sean. I don't even use it. It just sits here. So many microphones.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you and I don't both have, fortunately.
I know, right? So many other things.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, it's always a pleasure to meet you as well, Elder.
He nods. He says, well, I'm sure you have many questions, and I will help you however I can. But you all look weary from your travels. Perhaps you should rest first.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Mm-hmm. He nods and he says, of course. And Jadier, please make sure that they have suitable quarters arranged for them. He nods. And leads you guys on out. Takes about an hour or two, but basically, there's this large tent that was used as some. Seems to be used as something of a tavern. You guys have been there before. And can anyone remember what the bartender's name was?
Dave.
It was not Dave.
In which?
Dumpy McBribeable. It's the one we paid so that we could just like live there.
Yeah, because it wasn't even really like a tavern per
Mhm.
se. It was just this big
Yeah,
open
I'm not gonna be
space
able to
that
find
we,
it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I have the names of a bunch of dead guys. No, probably not him. Probably not him. He's still alive.
It was a lady. That's my hint.
Sarah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I may not have told you. We'll see.
I mean, we wouldn't have asked.
That's true.
Yeah, this is true.
That's true. You would not have asked.
I don't know. I got
All
nothing.
right.
Me either.
Have you given up, Aaron? All right. We will say that at some point in time, you guys probably elicited the name. I don't know if you did or not, but her name is Fira. She has long, dreaded hair, and you can see that she smiles, and a very skinny dwarven woman, fairly young, and she says, well, I had a suspicion you'd be back, so I made small rooms for travelers and such to stay in. And you guys basically are given what amounts to basically divisions among the tent of cloth, with a small degree of cushions of some fashion for you to sleep on. They're not particularly well done. They're mostly like rolled up cloth, sort of padded together. But it is better than the open desert. Milo, your bedroll is probably more comfortable, but
Yeah, I'll probably just sleep on my bedroll, actually. Thanks, anyway.
But yeah, and you guys are given rooms and run of the place. You guys are also offered a nice glass of Pittic, if anyone can remember what that is like.
Sounds dope.
Yeah, it's
like it's almost like mead, isn't it? It's really thick, syrupy kind of.
yeah, it's very thick, almost like applesauce, if you will, very sweet with a heavy degree of alcohol.
I don't remember anyone's names, but I remember the alcohol.
That's right.
Atta boy. Atta boy.
Mhm. So yeah, y'all are offered that as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
All right.
So, and who is it that brought us there? It was JD
Yeah.
Air? Is he still with us? Okay.
Nah, I mean, unless you guys want to talk to him something as he shows you guys your quarters effectively, he'll leave.
I'd like to ask him about his armor. JD Air,
Yes.
That armor you have, where did you get this?
So, part of it was made here in Cled. The rest was helped from Freedom.
There is an armor smith here in Cled?
He nods of a sort.
What is this man's name?
He says, he is not a smith in the strictest sense, but he knows of how to piece together things for protective purposes. He hails from the city of Tyr originally, but he converted here recently. His name is Gillian, but he goes by Guinea.
I'd like to meet this man. Can you introduce?
Of course.
Da.
I think his name's Gin.
Oh, it is Gindred, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was gonna say because Guinea sounds familiar,
It is
but
Gindred.
He sounds Italian.
Milo smiles. Good. Glad he's here. Forward to speaking to him.
And he gives you sort of vague directions as to where to go. You can find him if you wish.
Cool.
This guy's not your tour guide. He's not gonna hang out with you and be like,
Yeah.
over there. Just...
Yeah, yeah. The first is like the hero of Glad. The second really just shows people around the ruins.
Yeah.
Hands out pamphlets. All right. Well. Everyone okay?
Duh.
Probably discuss how long we're planning on staying here.
1 month.
Feel like 30 days or so.
That's an oddly specific
I don't
number
know.
of days.
I'm just feeling it. Yes. I have questions that I think can only be answered here. But our obligations to you are more important than that.
So, though, we'll probably stay here for some time. It's not. We've got almost a month total of time. We've got almost a month total of time. I'm just gonna do this from now on. This is my life now.
You should buy another thing. That should be your life.
We got like 6 more of those Yetis just laying around.
Yeah. I have one. If you need one.
Yeah. Yes, well, certainly can't go back to Tyr. I doubt we'll be able to stay at Mount Non, so perhaps we do have time.
Yes. Alright, well. Let's sleep on it. We're all pretty battered at the moment.
Yes.
Talk about it in the morning. What time of day is it? I guess I should ask.
Yeah,
We're gonna go to bed. It's 2 in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
it's about 2 in the afternoon. That's
Is there any way, like Torin being like a hired henchman of Anika's, does he know of a way to send word to her that we've arrived safely to let her know where we're at?
no. And you think she probably wouldn't be super invested. She just expects you to come back.
Okay.
She's not a worried mother.
Yeah, she's not super worrying. That's not her MO.
I just like to fulfill my obligation because it seems like the longer that I spend time with these folks, the closer and closer they get to dying, which gets me closer and closer to dying.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'd have some expediency.
Yeah, she'll have your eyes.
Yeah, he's just sweating in the corner.
Just watching this one.
Are you okay?
Man who, when I got him, had 2 arms.
Yeah. Remembering how he like sawed his fucking arm off earlier.
Yeah. No, baby.
It was like 3 days ago. It's like not.
And then it turned into a thing.
Turned into a thing, and then you killed the thing. All very good. You fought well, Torin. Today. Thank you for helping.
Da.
It hurts to be around you in a fight.
I don't know if you can fix that.
Yeah, can you
Maybe
do something about that?
Maybe look into that. Like it's
So like I grin, and I'll say, "It is what it is." Milo,
yes,
do you know this guinea?
I do.
I'd like very much to meet him.
Yes, I'd like to speak to him again as well.
Tomorrow.
Very good, Torin. Tomorrow.
All right, I'll say, "Das vidanya." I'll walk off to my room.
Bye.
Okay. I'll be nice because, as previously established, I am a warm and generous man.
It's true. I remember us establishing that.
And there is no ominous nature surrounding the orb, so we should stay here as long
Right.
as we need.
But Milo, you and Torm, go ahead and gain 1 point of bonding.
Buddy!
1 bondage point.
Hey, I don't know what to do with that.
Make a note of it. It's super dope.
It is super dope if you can get enough of them.
So, what this means, Chelsea, I think you're like hella.
Yes.
She's
She's been muted for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't want to disturb you.
No.
We didn't want to get Marcio in trouble.
When you get to multiples of 5, you get magical powers.
Yeah.
But not like magical powers, like faultier
Yeah.
magical powers.
No.
Just some magical
But
powers.
like mildly amusing powers, like Dan gets to double the roll of any healing I do for him, and we can cast message to each other.
Yeah, and if I'm standing nearby, I can die instead of her.
It's
But,
true that is indeed a magical power.
It's
Milo
come
possesses.
into
Very
usage
magical.
many times.
It's the magical power of no.
Yeah.
But also, we each have one special inspiration point for this session that we can spend on each other's rolls, and that can be done after the roll has been rolled.
Basically, you can be like, "No, Milo, I want you to reroll that roll. I give you my inspiration."
Because we're such dear friends. Go ahead and re-roll
Yeah.
that.
So how would I know? So I'll just make a note. Special rules.
Don't worry, it's gonna go away.
It'll go away at the end of the session, but the
Oh,
one
okay.
bonding point, just make note
That
of that.
shit's forever. All
That's-
right.
Yeah,
I got.
unless like,
All right.
have I ever taken
Still
away
down.
bonding points because you guys like fucked each other up before?
I mean,
so.
You have
I
never
feel
done
like
that.
there's an open storyline between Shirasa and Faldir that might do that.
Yeah, they have some hate bonding, I think.
Yeah,
That seems true.
angst bonding.
Yeah. But yeah. So see, I am nice. I've never even taken one away from you guys. Even like whenever Faldir like kills one of you.
That's never happened before.
It does happen quite a bit, honestly.
Fake news. Fake news.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't remember any of this that you're talking
That's
about.
fair.
Yeah, this
That's
never
fair.
happened.
Everyone's alive.
You
Everyone's
No one
gotta
died.
stay away from the mainstream
I got you.
media.
I didn't literally cut my arm off because of that, but it's fine. It's
Hey, I feel like I gave you guys a point of bonding for that. I did, in fact.
you did when we made the pact to do it. Yes, that's.
I'm not gonna keep giving you like, oh yeah, we made a
Oh,
pact
no,
and then we
I'm
prepared.
not saying that you. I'm just saying that is
No.
when it happened. Yes.
What bonds a one-armed man more to a half-giant than allowing the half-giant to sever his arm? That's also very magical.
Listen, don't push me.
I'm just saying, that's an intimate
I've drank your
experience.
blood before, and I liked it.
I like the taste.
Because I eat so much tea.
All right, but we'll say you guys rest for the rest of the day. Probably sleep for a while, wake up in the middle of the night, drink, and then go to sleep again.
Yeah, I'd like
Sounds about
to-
right.
Is there going to be like some kind of celebration for the killing of this
You
slime?
guys invoked.
Like
Hey, they don't know that.
I was gonna
They don't know that
say,
at
like,
all.
I mean, there's usually not celebrations after like hurricanes or tornadoes, so.
Have you been to Florida? Because I'm in Florida.
Yeah, there are
and I've
hurricane
been
parties.
to one or two hurricane
Yeah, I've been to
keggers.
those before.
Yeah,
but here we
alright,
just
but
drink
Florida just-
hurricanes.
Yeah, but that's Florida. For
Yeah, Florida-
normal
Florida
people,
just
are there
drinks no matter what.
celebrations after
Bruh, we-
horrific natural disasters?
they don't call us America's dick for no reason, bro.
All right, I'm just gonna let that exist,
Yeah.
and we're gonna move forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
So,
that.
but yeah, you guys, all of you. So we'll just go ahead and make it a meta decision. What's the decision? Are you guys gonna do just the one level, or mucho levels?
I vote one level. That's what I vote.
I vote one level so that we can go get the orb.
I vote 2 levels, and we convince whoever we're training with to come with us to get the orb.
For sure
They
that
will
won't-
surely die.
Yeah. I mean,
But
like, if
would
you're-
we
if you're
still
thinking-
get the level?
No, like the training has to be 2 weeks of downtime. Like it can't
Yeah.
be 2 weeks of adventure slash
Yeah.
training.
I also vote for a singular level.
All right, so you guys will get one level. But you know. So everybody gets to be level 5. Woo!
Woo!
So, who would like to go first in their training montage? What? What is it?
6. Wait,
It's
no,
level 6.
level
Is
6.
it really level 6?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
hit
right.
you.
That's
I
right.
hit,
I'm too generous.
Yeah, because I hit level 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're level
I
6.
hit level 5, and then Rennie did, and then yeah.
That's generous of me. Okay.
So I gotta roll shit for my health and stuff, don't I?
Yeah, but don't worry. We can do it on everybody's
You got
level
the-
up.
All right. Okay.
Fiesta.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
you
to
got the
montage. Can I go first since I don't know anything about this game, or should I go last because I can watch you guys and then figure it out from
I
there?
vote second at least. I feel like it'd be good to literally see one person level up.
Yeah. Okay. Not it.
I'm not going first.
All right.
Dan, you want to go or you want me to? I'll rock, paper, scissors for it, or we can just...
Latency's gonna be a
I
big
got
deal about
plans.
this.
Wait, since Milo and I are going to see this Federe guy together, could we have like a joint training montage? No.
Nah,
Okay.
like we'll do that. So we're gonna have 2 weeks, and it's not gonna be like 2 solid weeks of training. Like we'll be able to have interactions
Oh,
and
there's
downside.
shit to do, yeah.
Yeah. So we can still role play going to
Yeah.
see him, but we're gonna do like during these 2
Yeah.
weeks. Here's the montage that's happening while we go and see this dude.
Cool.
And do other
Exactly.
stuff.
Cool.
Entirely up to you, Sean. I mean, mine's super fucking easy. So
Mine's pretty simple too.
all you, man.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to be doing two things in regards to training. I'm going to be going to whatever guards post or whatever place where the guards gather, and going to be attempting to learn more martial competency, so I'm not just, a one-armed cripple.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm still gonna
you'll
be
You'll
be a
still
one-armed
be a
cripple,
one-armed
still
yeah.
gonna
cripple.
be that. But I'll be one that's at least a little bit competent in a fight. And secondly, I want to see if Elder Wyam has any books of any kind that I could use to study various ancient battles, things that have been recorded in that regard, or if there's, if he has any stories that he can tell me of things along those lines as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so I can take a class in Warlord, or all of my class levels in Warlord now, whichever.
Sure. I will show warmth upon this and say that you gain 2 levels of Warlord. So you're 2 levels Warlord, 4 levels Bard.
Okay.
So
Wait, I think Sean. Did you level Sean?
I would have, but I cut my arm off and de-leveled.
Oh, nice.
So I'm back with my heads down here.
Cool. Nice. Welcome to the month.
welcome
Cool.
to level
Cool.
6.
Cool.
But it wasn't as bad as whenever Milo de-leveled. He has the worst de-leveling.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't lose any stats, so I got that
Oh,
going for me, which is nice.
Yeah.
If I did, I would only lose strength for losing my arm. But it doesn't matter. I didn't use that stat.
That's correct. All is very true. So let me see here. All right. All right. So you're gonna do a couple of things. So the first thing that happens is you begin to make your journey to watching the local guards and stuff train. As you do so, you see there's really 2 figures who seem to be leading the training. The first of which is of course, the dwarf that you guys saw fighting, Jidier. A strong, surly fellow. He seems to be particularly specific whenever it comes to the actual tactics and alike. They seem to work with the guards. Specifically in hit and run kind of ideas, throwing javelins and alike. And also how to sort of advance in a formation as a group, how to improve on positioning and things of that nature, flanking and alike. Spending many hours with the more veteran groups, particularly officers and alike. Whereas the rest of the guards, you notice these guards are of lower rank in some capacity. All the ones that were with JDR have hammers, a small sort of like almost like a warhammer strapped to their side if it's not their primary weapon. And the rest of them are training with a fat dwarf with you can see a sunburnt head with skin peeling off the dome. He has sort of red cheeks and seems to drink copious amounts during training and such. And you, during your time, recognize that this is, of course, Guinea. He seems to be focusing a lot more on fitness, ironically enough. And he's a pretty harsh taskmaster of sorts with the troops. But he never seems to push any of them too hard. and you can see that he'll take the time to make sure that each one of them is not overexerted, that they get the proper amount of rest. But he also doesn't cut in any slack, right? He still expects a high degree, and you kind of get the vibe from the men watching them that whenever it comes to both men, they're considered very harsh, but their training is considered necessary by the men. So the men kind of accept the harshness, and they don't quite take it personally. Though both of them are given a degree of respect. And several days pass, and each day you go out, observing, watching. You've seen battle before. You've seen how messy it can be. And you see the resolve of these men is something that both of these men who train the others are doing so from a place of experience. And it's an experience that you can relate to, as you've seen quite your own share. And things that kind of maybe you took for granted, or those you work with sort of do almost instinctively. You see that there's a method to it, that it can be trained and taught, that it's not just instinct, but it can be thought about and understood. And this sends you further into that line of thinking. And yeah, you can go ahead and level yourself up. We'll have your second round later whenever you go talk to our good buddy, Master Wine.
Okay.
All right. So, Dan the Man.
Yo!
What's Milo gonna go do?
I like to do a two-parter as well.
Okay.
The big one, I want to speak with Elder Wyan to kind of tell him about my visions, tell him about shit that happened, like, you know, the time I died and stuff. And then to ask him, instead of Guinea, what's a paladin? And to try and learn more about the oath that I took and what it means, and who the fuck's Ilmater? I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna try to learn more about my role that I've
Okay.
become, and then the other part is I'd like to do a little bit of the physical training, maybe with Jedier, maybe some sparring, because I have to fight different now. I have to use armor, and I have to like not get hit, and instead of just trading blows, because I'm all small and weak now, smaller, weaker.
Okay. Yeah. That's absolutely something to do. Which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do GDR or do you want to do Wine?
I'll do Wyan first.
Okay. Well, that should be no problem. Let me see here. 1 second. All right. So, we cut away to late one evening, after you've been training with JDR. You've cleaned yourself up a bit, and now you're wearing simple traveling clothes, not your armor, as you go and sit sort of across from Master Wine. And he smiles as he does and greets you.
Elder Wyan, I had some questions for you. I've been wondering for some time what is a paladin. I swore the oath, and I feel like I know what it means, but I don't know the meaning behind it. I've done my best to uphold it, and I think that I have. But I don't know. I don't know what's expected of me. I have and I'll kind of clench my fist and like make a smitey come. So I've got
Sparkles.
yeah, little sparklies. I've found power. I think. I don't know where it's from or what to do with it. I had a choice to make. I fell in battle. I died. I had to choose between the path I'd been walking of bricks and blood, or this path of light. I've made my choice. It drew me here to Kled. I believe I know why now, but still don't know if I understand what I'm to do. What I am.
He says, that is quite some question. He says, so I will answer it as simply and clearly as I can. A paladin is a warrior, but not one who fights for money or power, not one who fights for himself or his liege, but one who fights for something beyond that, something greater than himself. A paladin is one who fights for principles, for ideals, one who fights for good that was bestowed upon us by the gods.
I see. These gods, are they where these abilities come from?
He says, there was a time when this world was not of sand and fire and wind and blood. There was a time when these great wastes were covered in greenery. There was a time when there were animals not of the claw and the scale, but of hooves and warm fur. He says, and in that time, the sorcerer kings were not the highest power, and the elements did not burn those around. When the gods watched over us, what you've touched is vestiges of their blessing.
I see. think I begin to understand. No, it feels right. I was walking the other path. My head was clouded, full of bricks. When I fell, I lost a lot of strength, physical strength, skilled arms maybe, but I feel like I know my purpose. I feel like I know better what I must do.
And what must you do?
But you did. Must try to be better and make those around me better. To find the good, even when it's not obvious to see.
He smiles and he says, "There is no higher calling."
Thank you, Elder.
Thank you, Grimjaws first.
I nod and get up and we'll get out of there.
Okay. And that night, so you make your way back. This was probably pretty early. You go check on your friends. Milo walking through the dark night. A cold breeze whipping across the desert sands. And you part the tents to see your resting group. You can see each of them resting from the day's training. On Trassa, you can see her arms still singed by the acid. Compulsion, if you will, goes over you. You reach out your hand and let the back of your fingertips brush along the burned skin. And you feel something roll through you. You feel as though something has poured into you like water and runs out of your fingers in the same fashion as it came in. And you see the burns slowly mend and heal. And you gain the ability of Lay on Hands.
Boy!
Yay!
Yay!
I'm not the only healer anymore.
That's right.
I am also a healer now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone, we're all
Everyone
healers.
heals.
I heal with fire!
Yeah, we're all healers. And
I burned all my friends.
Yeah, exactly. We all have to have healing to make
You will
up
be
for that.
purified!
Yeah, we just try to
He
maintain
disinfects.
hit
Is what he
points
does.
with
He
Rennie
just
around.
disinfects. Fire is a strong disinfectant. Alright. So that was the first part of your little leveling experience. Basically, your leveling needs to be some sort of training or some sort of interaction you do. Or
Yeah.
to
So, question. So, would he have gotten Lay of Hands without spending time with Elder
No.
Wyan? Okay. All right. And then another question about Elder Wyan. Sorry, I don't mean to hijack your moment, Dan.
It's fine.
Is he like a religious leader within Kled?
He seems to be
You don't know.
leader within Kled. You can ask
Okay.
Milo more.
Okay, I'll ask Milo more. All right, sorry, Milo.
Oh, it's all good.
All right. So who wants to go next for the first part of their leveling?
Rennie,
I'll
do you want to
go
go?
first. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, I'd like to ask Milo, because I want my first part of my leveling. I want to build out the Storm Soul thing, because I could get that at level 6, and I feel like in order to get that, since I'm obsessed with fire for whatever reason, I'd like to talk to some religious figure within the town. Maybe if there's like a fire temple or something. So I'm gonna find Milo wherever he may be.
You found me.
Okay. I don't know how this works. Is there a bell? I don't know.
So Milo.
Hello.
Milo's come back from a day of training, physically out with his best new dwarven friend, or I guess one of his many dwarven friends, Jidier. Yeah, you find him. He's like super sweaty. He's got like a towel around his neck. He's sitting in an ice bath.
He's looking super thick. Just full of blood, ready to powerhouse someone.
Exactly.
All right, I got you. I get the scene now.
He turns and looks back at you. He's got a syringe coming out of his butt. And... yeah.
Milo,
Hello, Zoran.
you seem to be well acquainted with Kled.
As well as I'd like to be. Yes.
Tell me, friend, do you know any religious temple? I believe there are people here who worship fire. Or a priest?
Well, Elder Wyan is the, I suppose you could call him the leader of Kled, but he's a keeper of knowledge and in many regards a holy man. But here they do not worship an element. They worship something older and far more powerful.
I'd like to meet with Elder Wyan. I believe you saw him recently?
I've been speaking with him to learn more about, I should say, our religion, the gods, true gods.
Where can I find him?
There's a big building. It's
like-
in the middle
it's
of
right over
everything.
there,
It's like
yeah.
it's like the only building that's still okay, but he's usually in there. He has an assistant front usually. If he may be busy in prayer or meeting with someone, but I'm sure you could set a meeting. He knows you're with us, one of us.
What is this assistant's name?
That would be a good question.
it does actually change from time to time, so you probably don't know.
Yeah.
Very well. I will find Elder Wyan. Thank you,
We'll
comrade.
kill him and take his power.
We'll kill him.
I will
Steal
eat his heart.
I'll steal his tiny armor.
I do have to. My whole goal with Jadair while I'm training, I want to do the first half to be like related to the fire stuff or whatever to try to get the Storm Soul thing, and then the second half to be physical training. But is there any point where I could talk to Jadair about taking the two smaller dwarven breastplates, or Gendrin, I mean, taking the two smaller and making some kind of larger version of that?
This is shameful. I'm just gonna say it. This is shameful. You can ask him. You may of course ask him. You may ask him any question.
Is that part of the training, or is that
It's kind of a separate thing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
I'll
squash
go
that.
with you. We can do a joint role play if you don't mind for that one. 'Cause I
Yeah,
want to
down.
talk to Gendrin
All right.
too.
All right,
So you want to go talk to Master Wine?
Yes.
Elder Wine. I'm sorry. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, that's no problem. So
I'd like to saunter in
Yeah,
oafishly.
you succeed. There's a long wait before you're let in. As Elder Wine is in prayer and meditation, but after some time, you are allowed in. Elder Wine sitting there. He has a small bowl of water, and
Baller.
he offers you some.
I will
He gives
accept
you
it.
his bowl, and he sits with that one. Yeah, you pour it all over your chest and hair. Yeah. And Elder Wine looks across from you and he says, "How may I help you, Tora?"
Elder, I'd like to learn more of your ways. Milo mentioned to me gods that you believe in.
Yes.
Would you mind telling me more?
He says, "The gods are ancient. They exist beyond the realm as we currently know it. There were many at a time. As it stands, there is much debate. Some say that they never existed, that it was merely faith that fueled their miracles. Others claim that they were killed or somehow sent off by sorcerer kings and the like. But others say that they forsook this world as a damned place. However, I believe that their vestiges still remain, and I think that your friend Milo is a demonstration that somewhere beyond the gray, beyond what lies in our dreams, they still reach to us, speak to the heart of every man." He says, "For their virtues remain." He says, "There is Tyr, the lawgiver." He says, "Great God, maimed in battle, blind, with one hand missing, not unlike your friend Faldir."
It sounds familiar.
He says, "And there is Ilmater." He says, "A god of mercy." Yeah, Faldir. That's how that works. That's how that's.
Yeah, I mean, he's missing an arm. That automatically makes it the same,
Yeah,
right?
that makes you the same person.
Twins,
Mhm.
twinsies.
He says, Ilmater, the crying god, the broken god, the one who endures. Perhaps the god most relevant in these times, who speaks of mercy and kindness to those who suffer. And then there is Torm, the true. As you might imagine, he is one who does not shy away from difficult realities. He speaks of earnestness and honesty, of loyalty, of duty, and of righteousness. His symbol is a mighty gauntlet, and it is said that he rides upon a great scaled beast. These three are the Triad. These three are the gods we honor, whose memory lives in our people. Even though the city, not far from here, may profane and blaspheme the name.
Do you speak of Uruk?
Tyr. Like,
Oh,
It's-
here. Oh, I thought you're going to the Great Smoking Crown of Uruk thing. All right.
no.
Okay.
A sort of disappointed half giant sort of just leaves. Bah.
Alright, never
It's
mind.
not what I wanted.
Cool story, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting.
It doesn't really get me to level up. But you know more. Your religious knowledge is more filled out.
Okay.
Do you
Cool.
continue to visit Master Wine to know more of religion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about the old gods that they worship. But usually I like the Triad, right? Because it's got sort of like the tyrannical or the masculine side of order, right? And it's got the sort of Mother Nature mercy thing going for it, and then righteousness. I mean, but there's no elemental, like any kind of elemental traits or anything like that to these
There's
folks.
And when you bring this up, Elder Wine says that the elemental faith is a abandonment of virtue, for it is a belief in the roaring chaos that is nature, that is the elements, that water holds no righteousness, fire bears no mercy, that the wind tells no truths,
So it's all their religion is based on abstraction, right? Sounds like.
yeah, that it seems to be that their religion is based more on virtues and on perceived good and such than it is on sort of the physical realm.
Okay. Cool.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of
Cool.
there's a lot of weird stuff.
That is cool.
But yeah, so I will say that now your religion checks will be a little more fleshed out. They won't just be elemental knowledge. So your
Okay.
religion's better than Milo's religious knowledge, because Milo only knows about gods and stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I don't know about fire and shit.
Yeah, you don't really know.
Bricks were cool. I know a lot about bricks.
Yeah,
though.
he knows how to make bricks.
Yeah, my brick religion.
Would
Top tier.
that change my intelligence in any way?
Listen, stop fishing.
To learn more? I'm just asking for the parameters.
No,
That's all.
Am I a god now? Is that?
the answer is no. The answer's
I learned about some gods. Can I?
no. You
leave
sure
now?
can't.
Well, I don't want to read. I know more than I did
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that's true. Milo doesn't really know a lot at all. He just kind of plays by feel.
Yeah.
I will say, Milo, you will have proficiency in checks that have to do with the Triad.
Okay, with this specific
Yes.
religion.
All right. So, Shrasa, what do
Hello.
you get up to?
So this may shock you, but Trasa is tired of being a small squish who dies in one hit. So Trasa, in order to reflect her large change in HP, would like to go to the what's the word I'm looking for? The army dude, guard. There we go. Their trainer, and try to like bulk up a little bit, not like Milo levels, but she'd like to get like a little bit stronger and a little less like a piece of paper wrapped around a skeleton.
It's swole.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, swole, if you will, but in a small white girl sort of way.
Real swole.
Yeah.
Just lots of
Just a
squats.
lot of squats.
Yeah, all the
She
squats
wants
and
an
Ugg boots.
Instagram model.
Like-
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
That's right.
Just deadlift, squat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're totally able to do that. You're specifically directed to Guinea, as he's sort of the specialist when it comes to actual physical training. And Guinea's pretty rough. He does not sort of throw underhanded to you, as it were. He's pretty harsh with you. But he there's often a point in your training where you feel like you can't go any further, and Guinea will push you that extra bit, but he won't. He'll stop there. He won't go beyond your limitations. And you notice that after every particularly rigorous session that often involves a lot of circuit training, he sits you aside, makes sure you have water, insists that you drink it in front of him to make sure that you're okay.
No rhabdo on his
That's
watch.
right. Exactly. And one day, as you're sort of recovering from this hard session, he's sitting next to you, making sure you drink your water. And you can see Milo still training with Jidier, kind of off in the distance. And he says, "That's a strange man."
Which one?
The one who saved me that day. Milo.
Yeah. His heart's in the right place. He's been through a lot. I think we all have.
He looks at the cactus scars along your arms. I imagine so. He says, "You know, I was born a slave. Earned my freedom through blood and submission. And then I perpetuated that. He says, but all the slaves I trained they all just were trying to survive. He was the first one who was trying to do something more. He digs in his pocket and takes out a gold piece. And he says, "That's why I never spent this. Sort of my lucky charm that you and he gave me that day."
I think Milo's different because Milo knows he isn't a slave.
Maybe. Most men are slaves to something, though.
Fair enough.
What about you?
Right now, surviving, keeping my friends alive, figuring out what the fuck we're doing here.
And that's it? Just trying to survive?
For now.
He nods. And he looks at the piece in his hand. And he takes your hand and he puts the piece in it, closes your hand, and he says, "You need to find something more. Because surviving isn't enough. Milo showed me that. And I want you to know that."
Tressa's just gonna kind of nod and look over at Milo with kind of a pensive look on her face.
Guinea nods. Well, I think that's enough for today. I expect you to see you tomorrow morning. Still gotta whip you into shape, Runt.
Thanks, Skinny.
He nods. And he heads off. Alrighty. So, we go ahead and loop back around to our good friend Faldir. So, Faldir, you approach Elder Wine. I'm calling him Master. You approach Elder Wine.
You miss Satchet.
I do miss Satchet. He's dead now. and
Maybe.
it's
We don't know that.
and it's
for
your
sure.
fault. I do, and it's your fault. It's because of your failures. I hope that feels good. So, and Elder Wine tells you that military tactics are not his specialty, but Jidier can help you. And so, one evening, you're to meet Jidier after he's finished training Milo and such, for him to show you something. The night is significant. Where you find him standing outside of the stone structure, sort of the Capitol building, if you will. He's wearing simple robes and not the armor that he normally wears. Simple gray robes, nothing ornate, but functional. And he seems to be waiting for you.
Evening.
Good evening, Mr. Faldir. Elder Wine says you wish to know more of battle. You seek the history and that sort of knowledge. Come, and I will show you. He has a lamp with him that he leads the way with. A small light flickering in the night. And he slowly takes you into a tent that has a stairwell, clearly, that leads down into the sands itself. And as he does so, he says, "What do you know of the history of this place?"
I've done.
Mm-hmm.
What little bit he knows of what paladins are, which is to say, almost nothing, really. Nothing. We'll start from there. That seems like a decent jumping off point.
He says, "And you've seen the sorcerer kings of this land?"
Yes, I have.
He says, "There are many. But there is one that perhaps ought be feared the most. His name is Boris." And as you do, you can see their images, reliefs of a great dragon. Standing with some sort of ball beneath his hands etched into the wall. He says, "He was the one who suppressed the Dwarven kingdoms. He was the 13th champion of Rajat, and known as the Butcher of Dwarves. One of the strongest. He goes on to say, his power was so great that in our people's subjugation, that he thought him greater than Rajat himself, the first sorcerer. And in the war that was waged afterwards, they imprisoned Rajat. But in the doing so, Boris was transformed into a great dragon for eternity, unable to move past it. Do you remember the tomb?
Yes.
Do you remember for whom resided in the tomb?
Do not recall.
He says, there were two great dwarfs. Paladins. Who opposed him. Great knights. And in the battle that followed, they attacked this dragon to strike a blow for our people that we might revolt. They did not succeed. Our people were destroyed. This city that we live in now was burned by his fire. The last of our great kingdom wiped out, and our people subjugated by sorcerer kings. He says, and you see this massive relief, that of which you can see armies clashing, some clad in armor and such that appear to be of human and elven varying descents, and others of pure dwarves. And in the back, you can see that there is the dragon standing on top of what appears to be a mountain of some kind. And he says, these are the knights, Saram and Jorsh. In their final act, they opposed Boris. And in their final acts on this world, they slew him, bringing a sorcerer king low. With a blade that was dark and cruel, they brought low a god king, fighting together as one. And he goes on to tell of the battle, and of how the armies were almost used as sacrifice for this, that these two knights might get close, using some sort of ancient magic blade that could pierce the hide of the dragon, and with the two knights working together, they were able to bring down this creature. So I will say that with this, you level up, of course, and also you will gain the ability to where once per encounter, you can basically command two people in the battle as a free action who are flanking an enemy, and they will both have advantage on their next attacks.
Do I have to sacrifice someone to do that? Is that how that works?
Yes. Yourself.
It's a tactic I am familiar
No.
with. It's okay.
No, just
You have to give up
if
an
the
arm.
two of them and
I have to give up an arm.
if the two of them and one of them can be yourself, are flanking an enemy, you can basically use use sort of the tactics of Saram and Jorsh, to where they both have advantage. And it can be you. Or whatever. Okay?
Gotcha.
So that's the cool thing that you get.
I'm excited. And I just can't hide it.
You know what? I knew there was going to be a time when you would say something like this. And you know what? I'm not going to treat you different.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So, Milo, your next big dog on your level up journey.
Shit.
I believe that was the order of things.
You're right.
So, this time, we see this sort of long cut of you sparring with this man in his maul, and he seems well trained. He is much your equal, at least in most aspects. Perhaps not quite as experienced as you in actual bloodshed, but well trained. And relentless. You fight with your blade, struggling as you can, doing your best. And they give you a warhammer that you can use, as it is only fitting for Grimjaw's first to have one. It's largely it's largely an essence that's seems to be of a bone with obsidian embedded into it, and at the top of it this heavy stone strapped to it. And through practice, you sort of continue to hone your skills as this guy presses against you time and again. And there's a sort of respect that he seems to bear for you. Every time he bests you, he offers his hand to help you up. And every time you best him, he graciously accepts any help you provide. And through this martial training, I will say that you gain a foot, and that is dual wielder. So you get that feat. Being that you've been fighting dual wielding for some time, I felt that it was a fitting evolution for you.
Neat.
All right. So, Torn.
Yeah, so I'm gonna also train some like physical ability. Can I train to the end of being more dexterous or having more constitution? Is that possible?
You can try.
Well, I guess, I guess if I trained with Jadair, would that just be like weapon proficiency type thing, or?
You're thinking too much into it. You're not getting any of those things right now. You're just gonna level up.
Oh, okay. All right, then I'm gonna train with Gendry and just work on my butt.
Okay, yeah.
Or with not Gendry, Guinea.
Yeah, Gendrin, or Guinea, as he's known. Definitely trains with you, and we can go ahead and do a twofer with you as well, Strasa, unless there's something else you're gonna do. No? Okay. So you two train together. And as I said before, Guinea is not super merciful in his training. But he pushes you for your own good, taking you out into the desert, forcing long runs and such. Weight training is very important, and you can see that he's made crudely sort of designed pulley systems and such for you to use for muscular building and such.
Gotta work the
Things
cables.
that he tells you he learned extensively when he was training in Tyr with gladiators and the like. He pushes you both rather significantly, making sure that you maximize your abilities, but never pushing you too hard. Towards the end of one day, while Strasse is sort of wrapping her hands again, as she often does, being that she seems to fight with her fists a lot and is doing hand strengthening exercises as well. Guinea sits alongside you, Torm, and he says, "So, why are you with the Sundered Blade?"
I was hired for a job.
I see. He says, "And what job is that?"
To not let the woman and the one-armed man die.
Do you have cheese? Do you have cheese?
Marcio! I need cheese!
Shut up.
Bring me an assortment of cheeses, boss.
Oh, that's
Madam
fucking
Marcel.
fantastic.
Cheeses and a goblet of wine, Marcia, please. Hop to.
Don't keep me waiting like last time, or I'll give you the whip again.
If he does not bring a Gouda, he gets a lashing.
It's only fair. So,
Arrange them from most to least firm, Marcio.
I got plastic wrapped American.
We got craft singles, and you said you don't know about Florida. Come on,
there
dog.
you go. Anyway. And Guinea says, what do you live for? And then Torm has an existential crisis.
But he's like, fuck, man, he's a stupid barbarian. What do you want from me?
In these times, I suppose, for the moment.
Wow. He says, I knew many men like that. Who drank and whored and danced. And I observed them. Nay, I was one of them. Especially the whoring. But you know what I noticed? The moment passes. He says, take your time with these folks. He says, they'll show you something that lasts longer. Yeah, I see the ketchup. It's very distracting.
There's a lot of ketchup for some craft singles.
1 second. Let me just
We got some
over.
saltine crackers. We got some craft singles, and we got some ketchup. I call this hillbilly nachos.
And some
got
creme
hot dogs.
fraiche.
Mhm. He says, I would recommend you try and find something that lasts longer. You'll be the happier for it. I know I am.
I respect that. But these days, the moment may never pass.
I'll be honest with you. I have no idea what that means.
People die, bro.
God damn it. God, bro. It's just.
Not all are fortunate to live past a moment.
True enough. Just keep your eyes open.
I have observed the mole. He seems honorable.
I didn't think there were any left. But maybe there are. And he kind of pats you on the shoulder and kind of nods. Alright. Back on the cords, chump. And your training is resumed once more. Is there anything special you'd like to do additionally, Shrasa, in your training? Okay. And everybody levels up. Woo.
Oh, yes.
And in your training, and in your new practice, my good friend Torm, you have to undergo a good deal, and in your training, you kind of think about something, and you say, you know what? Making sure these people don't die seems important. And so you practice somewhat, continuing your training, but you focus in a different direction, towards something that is new to you, which is not to seek to spill blood, but to help protect others. So I will give you the feat Sentinel,
Ooh.
as you are this
I like
crew's
that.
bodyguard.
That sounds fancy.
And everybody levels. So you guys can roll all your shit and do all your stuff.
Everyone remembers how.
That's right. That's why.
So if we were getting to level 6, I did that already.
Okay. Well, you were. You were getting to level 6.
Okay.
I really should look again to see what the fuck Sean's class actually does. I kind of know. I know the general idea of it, but I haven't read the specifics.
Basically, the only thing I can do right now is heal somebody 1 hit die once per short rest, and I get a fighting style. That's the only thing, and I have higher hit die with this class. That's the other thing.
How do you record a feat? Do you just do it in the features and
Yeah.
traits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, not higher. Sad day. Which is impressive,
That's
because 2 of those
tragic.
D8s became D10s.
Well, that's unfortunate for you.
Nice con.
Look at all that HP. It's a good con. It's a quality con.
Sean, you,
Sean's got a lot of con.
you rolled. You should have done 8. 8 plus 3d8.
Oh, right, that's true. It didn't matter. The first one was an 8 anyway.
There you go. Just calling it.
Yep.
All right.
Doesn't matter.
That's true. He's correct though. I would be nice and let you roll again if you want to. Because again, I am known for my mercy.
Oh, this is really cool, dude. So if someone is close to me and they get attacked, I can fuck them up as a reaction
Yeah.
to it?
Yeah, Sentinel's
Yeah,
badass.
that's why I gave it to you.
Fuck yeah,
Because you're here
dude.
to guard these idiots from dying. That's why I gave it to you. Out of love. Remember, I'm kind of merciful, GM.
Loving.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna shuttle over this dual wield as soon as I get my maul back. Fuck you too.
Well, you should have been training in that.
You
I
can
mean-
throw a shield like Captain America, dude.
It's true. I kind of just felt like I ran out of any good weapon I could use in 2 hands.
Yeah. But you also have a battle hammer now. A warhammer
So
now.
it's
I do.
roll.
I do.
It's only a -1 to damage, so.
What's the roll again, Dan, for health?
Dan, our resident health expert.
I am trained in medicine. For you, sir, it is going to be 12. So /R, just straight up the number 12
Plus.
plus 5d12
Correct.
plus. What's your con modifier? 2?
My con modifier is 3.
Plus 15.
Shit. Plus. Yeah, 18.
Oh, yeah, 6. 18.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
And that's it?
that's it. That's all there is to it.
Look at that
Holy-
HP.
Execute Order 66.
That's right.
Dude, that's a big jump from 48.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It's like 18.
It's true. You'll be there for
Awesome.
2 levels. Strasser rolled her stuff last time. She rolled very well.
Yep. Thank the Lord.
Does everything else, Dennis, stay basically the same for right now?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
You gave yourself Oh, I will say so wait, how are your levels distributed right now? Because I don't even fucking remember. Oh, we just did all paladin.
All paladin
Oh, that's
all the
right.
time.
We did do that. I forgot about that because you lost your abilities as a barbarian.
Because I died.
'Cause you fucking died.
I
You died like a baby back
That's
bitch.
right. That's correct.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. So that's all good and fair. All right. So, in other news,
Let's go get that orb.
yeah,
No, wait, we gotta talk to Guinea.
We gotta chill. Supply up.
yeah, you guys can totally chill, and we'll probably do that next session.
Okay.
So, with all that said, that's more or less the end of the session, I think.